My name's Mark. What's your daily routine? Get up, feed the kids, shower, and go off to work? Yeah, that was my routine. But I smoked too. And then I got rectal cancer. So my routine became tests and more tests, ultrasounds, CT scans, chemotherapy, radiation, and surgery to remove the tumor from my rectum. Routine became looking into my wife's worried eyes every day and calming my little girl after kids on the playground told her that her daddy's going to die because he has cancer. Yeah, that was my daily routine. My tip is, if all of that sounds good to you, keep smoking.
Smoking can cause colorectal cancer. Screening saves lives. You can quit smoking. For free help, call 1-800-QUIT-NOW. A message from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention.
Hello and welcome to Healthy Living with Tobacco-Free Allegheny. I'm Joyce Petro. Our guest today is Dr. Karen Hacker, Director of the Allegheny County Health Department. Dr. Hacker came to Pittsburgh in 2013 from Boston, where she was the Executive Director of the Institute for Community Health, a community research organization within the Cambridge Health Alliance. She also served as an Associate Professor in Medicine at Harvard Medical School and School of Public Health, and was the Senior Medical Director for Public and Community Health at Cambridge Health Alliance. Welcome, Dr. Hacker, and thank you for being with us today.
Thanks for having me.
The Live Well Allegheny campaign was launched in January of 2014. Could you describe the campaign?
Sure. So once I got here, one of the things that really struck me was that there were some major behaviors that I could see walking down the street. Probably the most evident was the tobacco smoking. I have to say that was quite a shock to the system when I first got here. That said, we began the Live Well Allegheny campaign to really think about the three major behaviors that contribute to the four largest chronic diseases, and those are physical inactivity, obesity, poor nutrition, and cigarette smoking. So along with the county executive, we launched the campaign with pretty few resources, basically myself and him, to really get the word out. We also brought together a variety of folks who've been spending their time working in these areas, particularly in pediatric obesity area, to ask them what they would like to see the county do. And we didn't want to duplicate the efforts. We wanted to work alongside them, collaborating. And based on that, the areas that they really thought we should get involved in was our relationship with municipalities, our ability to get the message out through PR, our ability to convene and bring people together around coalition building, and the policy aspect. So that's really where we've been concentrating our efforts.
At the time the campaign was started, about 18 months ago, the United Health Foundation released its state health ratings, and Pennsylvania fell to 29th in the nation from a ranking of 26th the previous year in overall health. The rate of obesity in the Commonwealth rose from 28.6% to 29%, exceeding the national average. That equates to nearly 3 million adults in the state who are obese. In Allegheny County, according to the 2009-2010 Allegheny County Health Survey, 62% of adults were overweight or obese. Additionally, more men than women were identified as overweight or obese. At the same time, while the level of inactivity among adults, both locally and statewide, decreased from 26.2% to 23.4%, there are still 2.3 million Pennsylvania adults who remain physically inactive. In Allegheny County, according to the 2009-2010 Allegheny County Health Survey, 11% of adults said they didn't participate in either moderate or vigorous physical activity in a typical week. So what's the current state of wellness and health in Allegheny County, and has anything changed since the campaign launched?
Well, one of our challenges is that getting the data, much of which you've already quoted, is not the easiest thing in the world. The survey that you mentioned was a broad-based random digit dial phone survey that was done in 2009 and 10, and the cost of that survey was about $350,000, most of which was raised through foundations. We're very excited to report that we have raised the money to do another survey. It is actually in the field now, and I would really urge your listeners to consider answering the survey when the call comes. We've contracted with the University of Pittsburgh to get that data for us. So again, if you see the University of Pittsburgh on your dial pad, please consider answering the survey. It takes about 25 minutes, and that's the kind of data that will help us determine whether or not the efforts that we're involved in are making a difference. But the piece that you mentioned in terms of where we are, so I would tell you that Allegheny County is not the worst, but we're not the best. And I think the thing that's most disturbing is we're either incrementally increasing in some of these areas, such as obesity, or just not getting better. So whatever we're doing, we're not doing it in a way that's moving the needle. And one of my theories is that we needed a big umbrella, and we needed to get everybody on board, and we needed county leadership, and I think County Exec Rich Fitzgerald has gotten up there. He's lost weight himself. He's much more involved in really getting out there and showing the rest of us how it can be done. I think we have to be the role models for others as well. I can tell you, even in our own department, we have a wellness committee now. People are taking the stairs when they didn't take the stairs before. And I think it's just coming to everyone's mind that we have to be able to demonstrate that these kinds of activities make a difference. We're certainly also seeing a movement towards more bike trails. We just got all the rental bikes out there. Certainly finding strategies to make physical activity a lot more accessible and easier. So all of that said is, I think we are not as bad as we could be, but we sure have work to do.
Well, I was just going to say that part of Live Well Allegheny's campaign is to promote increased physical activity. What are your recommendations for someone to start being more active, and what local resources are available for activity in Allegheny County?
Well, I think first of all, I'm a big believer in you've got to start where you can start. So if you've done nothing, if you're really a couch potato and you have actually done nothing, then I'd probably say just start with some simple walking. On a nice day, we have some beautiful parks, both at the county and the city level. I've really been struck by how great they are. Take a simple walk. There's very good evidence to show right now that just some walking can actually prolong your life. That's probably the first. What we're seeing with the bike paths and the access to bicycles and sort of surrounding with people with opportunities to be more active, I think are all great ideas. You know, if you are more athletic and you want to engage in the 5K races that are held in so many communities, that's a great place to go too, but there's also yoga. I participated in Open Streets recently, and there were a whole variety of physical activity types of options that you could take depending on where you were. So you could do yoga, you could do rollerblading, you could do bicycling, you could do walking, but the idea is to just get up and move. And I think there's ample evidence medically that physical activity is probably one of the best things you can do to lead a healthy lifestyle and to prolong your life.
So what are some of the chronic diseases facing Allegheny County residents that might prevent them from living well?
Well, we do have higher rates of cardiovascular problems, higher rates of diabetes. These are both related to the types of activities that I've mentioned. Between heart disease and stroke and issues of lung problems and diabetes, we're contributing probably over 60 to 70% of our mortality. All of those chronic conditions can potentially be prevented. There is type 1 diabetes that can't really be prevented in the same way, but the rest of them really can be prevented through better nutrition and physical inactivity, and cancer as well if smoking were to decrease.
Today, many people get wellness and health information from the internet. Does Live Well Allegheny have a website? And what advice do you have for people who are looking for health information on the internet?
So, yes, we have a website. It's www.liveweallallegheny.com. And there's a whole variety of resources that are listed on there, as well as the number of municipalities who've become active members of Live Well Allegheny and some of the school departments. There's plenty of information there, but I would also suggest that the internet's not a bad place to look for information. You just always have to be savvy, recognizing that it's not necessarily got a lot of quality control. There are certainly plenty of resource organizations around town, Bike Pittsburgh, Walk Pittsburgh. There's a lot of those types of things that will provide everything from information on walking paths to various events that are taking place. The Cultural Trust often will have information. The county website will have information. There's plenty of stuff out there. I think it's just a matter of sorting through what works for you.
You had mentioned that Live Well Allegheny serves as an umbrella to bring together communities and schools. How does a community or school gain Live Well status, and what schools and communities are participants?
Well, we've been actively trying to recruit communities to participate. And one of the things we felt that we could do as a government health department was to get municipalities involved. And that sort of pushes the concept of what some people are calling the culture of health, or health in all policies. So how can municipalities participate in making sure those opportunities are available for their residents? In order to become a Live Well municipality, it's not the highest threshold. You can pretty easily do it. It's listed on the website. You have to have at least 3 different items. They could be things like changing what's in your vending machines, offering an employee wellness program, doing outdoor activities for the residents of the community. And what we're asking for is people to make a commitment to live well. So it's not just one time doing it and getting a logo. It's really about thinking how a municipal government and municipality leadership can really contribute to the health of the population that lives there. Right now we have 11 communities that are involved, and they range from Pittsburgh itself to, they're all on our website, I'm going to probably forget some of them. Wilkins is one of them, for example, and there are many more. But what we're aiming for is 130 municipalities, so we have our work cut out for us. On the school level, we then created criteria for schools, and we asked them also to choose from 4 evidence-based practices that are known to really contribute to the health of young people. And those include things like adding physical activity to the day, again, getting rid of sugar-sweetened beverages or other kinds of things in vending machines, ensuring that the health of the teachers is also considered and that they have opportunities. We currently have 2 school districts that are participating, and those are Pittsburgh and Duquesne. And we're working with other school districts now to get them on board.
If an individual wants to become part of Live Well Allegheny, how would they do that?
So I think you can make your own commitment to living well, and there is an opportunity on the website to basically write in that you want to make a personal commitment. We don't really have criteria for that. I think it's really up to the individual to decide how they want to change their lifestyle to really be a participant in Live Well Allegheny.
Thank you. We'll be taking a break, and we'll return with Dr. Hacker, Director of the Allegheny County Health Department, shortly.
I'm Christy. I used to smoke cigarettes. I had smoker's cough and severe shortness of breath, and I knew I had to quit. Then I tried e-cigarettes, but I just ended up using both. I really didn't start to get better until I quit smoking completely. My tip to you is, just cutting down on the number of cigarettes you smoke isn't enough.
Smoking even a few cigarettes a day is dangerous. You can quit. For free help, call 1-800-QUIT-NOW. A message from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention.
Hey, I'm Brandon. The disease I got from smoking led to me having both of my legs amputated. It's called Berger's disease. That's where your blood vessels can get blocked because of blood clots that can destroy your skin tissue and lead to infection, gangrene, or worse. In my case, it started on my left foot. Eventually, I had to have my leg surgically removed just below my knee. I was 19. A few years later, I had to have my right leg removed too. I was a double amputee at 23 years old. The reason that happened was because I smoked. So I have a tip in case that happens to you. Take showers instead of baths, and use a shower chair. You'll find bathtubs are a lot harder to get in and out of when you don't have legs. Some of you might think I'm just making all this up. I wish I were.
Smoking causes immediate damage to your body. You can quit. For free help, call 1-800-QUIT-NOW. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and CDC.
My name is Rose. Smoking caused my lung cancer. The most painful thing that I went through was the chest tube to get the fluid out of my lungs. It was just bloody, bloody, bloody. Every day I prayed that they would remove it. The last 3 or 4 days, I literally cried. My tip is, be careful what you wish for. That chest tube hurt a lot more coming out than it did going in.
You can quit. For free help, call 1-800-QUIT-NOW. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and CDC.
I'm Nathan. My job gave me a lot. It gave me an income to support my family. It gave me purpose and pride. But the secondhand smoke there triggered my severe asthma attacks, infections, and lung damage. And I never smoked. It was so bad that my doctor told me I shouldn't work there anymore. I had to quit my job. But the damage was done. Now I'm so sick, I can't do much of anything I used to love to do. I don't referee youth basketball anymore. I don't run or lift weights. It's too much for my body to take. Instead, I'm taking breathing treatments or oxygen. I guess you could say my job gave me a lot. So let me give you a tip. Don't let people tell you that working around secondhand smoke is safe.
Smoking affects more than just your health. If you or someone you know wants free help to quit smoking, call 1-800-QUIT-NOW. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and CDC.
Welcome back to Healthy Living with Tobacco-Free Allegheny. I'm Joyce Petro, and I'm here with Dr. Karen Hacker, who's director of the Allegheny County Health Department. We're talking about the Live Well Allegheny campaign. Dr. Hacker, what are the biggest successes facing Allegheny County wellness and the largest obstacles?
So I think the fact that we're starting to see more people take on the personal responsibility of changing their lifestyles is a really exciting element. That there seems to be a new Pittsburgher in a lot of ways, a younger population that's really pushing this agenda. And I think that that's a wave that we would like to ride. But we still have lots of folks here who've been living here for a long time who are in the older ages who may not be interested in that type of lifestyle at this time. And particularly as we have elderly folks who want to age in their homes, making sure that they too have the opportunities to get physically active. We know, for example, that exercising your joints really helps to promote healthy lifestyles for the elderly and fall prevention and things like that. And it's sometimes hard to get access to those types of pieces, particularly if you're living by yourself and if you don't really have a lot of folks to do it with. One strategy, I think, is to find buddies, to find people that you can do things with, and to certainly encourage many of our programs that work with the elderly to really incorporate physical fitness into the work that they're doing. So I think that on one hand, I would say Allegheny County has some amazing resources, many programs that are dedicated to these types of things and people who really, really want to make a difference. On the flip side of that, we have a population that still eats French fries on salads and on sandwiches and things like that. And, our obesity rates demonstrate that we've got a way to go yet. We have a lot of fast food. We have things called food deserts, which means that there are areas of the county where it's really quite difficult to get fresh fruits and vegetables, and it's very easy to get fast foods. And so how we change those environments and get people to sort of recognize that there's a difference in what they could be eating from what they are eating, I think is some of our challenges. Our strategy, I think, in many ways is to figure out how to make those opportunities as easily accessible as possible. That goes to how do we make sure that as many places are smoke-free as possible. how much we have available in terms of fresh fruits and vegetables and fresh produce, how much we have opportunities for activity. Because I do believe that we, to some extent, like to conform. And when we're in communities where more people are doing those kind of activities, we're much more likely to do them ourselves versus being in environments where folks are doing the opposite. And I think that's been demonstrated when you look across the nation at communities that have better health indicators or worse health indicators. We used to say if you move to areas of Colorado, you'll probably lose 10 pounds in a couple of months because you're going to want to go out there and climb the mountains like the rest of the folks in your community. On the flip side of that, you go to places in Texas and sit in your car and eat gigantic portions of food, you're probably going to go the other direction. So that's, I think, our challenge as a health department is how do we help to create those environments, working across sectors with economic development, with transportation, with housing, to really see what we call health in all policies.
So there's been an ongoing process to develop a plan. Can you tell us about that?
Over the last year, we've been pulling lots of folks together to really develop a plan for a healthier county. And that includes the Live Well program, but a number of other areas as well. We started this process about a year ago, and the first thing we did was we did an online survey to get a sense of what people saw as the biggest health issues. Then we went out and we did 14 community meetings at the district level to get input from residents as to what they thought were the big issues. We followed that up with the information that we garnered from our nonprofit hospitals, because they are also required to do health assessments. And then finally, based on all of that, we pulled existing data from a whole variety of places to see what elements of our county were healthy, which things, as I mentioned, were getting worse or getting better, which things were staying the same, and where we had what we call health inequalities or health inequity, which means that there are disparities by race or by geography or by gender in terms of those health outcomes. Once we accomplished all of that, we worked with an advisory coalition of over 70 different organizations that touch on everything from tobacco to transportation to health care delivery to economic development. And we got them all together to begin to prioritize the top areas. So what came out of that whole initiative is that we have two overarching themes, and that has to do with health inequity and something we call social determinants of health. Those are the context in which we live, the areas such as what's happening in terms of violence, in terms of economic development and job opportunities, transportation, our social networks, all those things that contribute to our health, but which aren't things that necessarily can be addressed in the doctor's office. And then we have 5 priority areas, and those are access, which is access to health care, insurance, transportation to get you there. We have maternal and child health issues. Those things are like asthma, low birth weight, infant mortality, parental support. We have the chronic disease behaviors, which are the 3 that I've talked about, which is physical inactivity, smoking, and obesity. We have mental health and substance abuse. You may or may not be aware, but we have had quite an increase in the number of people who have died from overdoses from heroin in our county. And so that's a whole big area to work on, as well as issues of depression and things like that. And I'm missing one, which is the environment. And that continues to be an area that we are working on with some success, but we still have a lot of work to do, and that's our air quality, our water quality, and there are clearly concerns about the health impact of unconventional oil and gas production, which is also called fracking. So with all of that, we're currently in the process right now of taking it back to the community to let them know what all of that information they contributed has led to, and we're in the process of dealing now with implementation and metrics.
Thank you. As the Health Department Director, what do you see as your role in promoting wellness in Allegheny County, and what does wellness entail?
I think wellness is a pretty big term, and I think what we really want is for people to live active, healthy lives and to be able to do the things that they want to do. And we're living longer, and so thinking about these things now as opposed to later actually does make a difference. I do think part of my role is as a convener, to bring people together, as a spokesperson. I think I do have to set a tone as a role model myself, and I actively walk regularly and like to get out there. The Allegheny Passageway, the bike trail is just a phenomenal resource that I use regularly. But I also think as a department, we have to get those messages out. Now, we'll never have the resources to do all the work that needs to be done. So one of the best things I think we can do as a health department, besides monitoring what's going on and creating the appropriate policies, is to get out there and get the message out and convene folks and bring them into a coordinated effort to really move the needle on this, because I truly believe we cannot get things done by ourselves.
So the Live Well Allegheny municipalities, currently in no particular order, are Ross, McCandless, Wilkins, Brentwood, Heidelberg, Collier, South Fayette, Ohio Township, North Fayette, Westview, and the City of Pittsburgh. So if our listeners are interested in urging their municipality to participate, or if they are interested in participating as an individual, they can visit the website livewellallegheny.com. Is that correct?
I would say absolutely, and I would also say if you're interested, call your bureau or your municipal manager or mayor and suggest to them that they think about participating. It's not that complex. We're willing to provide whatever technical assistance we can. We are very fortunate to be getting some grants from some of our local foundations, and that's going to help us, I think, particularly when in some of the communities that may have a more difficult time achieving these goals. But as I said, our goal is, and this is not a short-term kind of thing, we're going to be in it for the long haul, is to get all 130 municipalities on board.
Is there anything else you'd like to share with our listeners today?
Well, there are some things up and coming that we're excited about. We are planning to do Live Well workplaces, too, because we do believe that workplaces can have a huge impact on their employees' health as well. And down the line, we're considering how restaurants might fit into this as well. But again, branding the effort, getting the information out there, and pulling folks together to, as I always say, row in the same direction is a bit of our goal at this point in time.
This is Joyce Petro. I've been here with Dr. Karen Hacker, Director of the Allegheny County Health Department. Thank you for joining us today.
You're welcome, and I should say to everyone, live well.
Thanks for joining us today on Healthy Living with Tobacco-Free Allegheny. You're invited to listen to this broadcast by visiting www.tobaccofreeallegheny.org.
I'm Christine. I'm here to give you a tip on how to eat if smoking gives you oral cancer and you have to have your jaw removed, like I did. Since chewing is kind of difficult without a jaw, and if you're like me, without any teeth, too, you'll be on a liquid diet. Okay, I'm pouring it into my feeding bag. In case you're wondering, it looks pretty much like how it sounds. Here we go. That sound you're hearing is the sound of your dinner from now on, and your lunch, and your breakfast. My tip for you is don't get too hung up on choosing the flavor of your liquid diet. They all really taste the same once you put them in your feeding tube.
Smoking causes immediate damage to your body. You can quit. For free help, call 1-800-QUIT-NOW. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and CDC.